Everybody, good afternoon, and here we are again. We never thought we'd be back so quickly, did we, Robert, with our outside broadcasting from RTE. And as soon as we heard, we came to the distress of RTE. We got the word with all expense spared. It was just a matter of a bus fare, and we rushed over to Donnybrook because we talked about amnesia the last time we were here, only to discover the problem has just got worse, hasn't it, Robert? And the great Robert is here as always, and we always have a little chat. He makes it all look so easy. So look, the word is out. The amnesia is even a greater problem here at RTE. So what have they forgotten this week? Well, of course, good old Ryan has forgotten the money was just lying in his account, and he forgot to mention how much he was actually being paid. He forgot to mention the slush fund and the hush fund and the mush fund. What else did they forget? They forgot so much. They forgot that Tusla this week, of course, big reports there about the children in care who were actually put into taxis, young women and young girls, to meet older men, put into taxis to child traffic, you might as well say. So that's one thing that RTE forgot to report. They also forgot to report that of course there was another shocking attack this week on a young girl by a so-called refugee. So RTE forgot about that. So look, we know it's all diversion. None of us are foolish here at today, and we know this is all diversion to deflect and divert our attention from the fact that our mortality rate is up something between 15% to 20%. In some cases, some counties, depending on how you're calculating it, it's up by 40%. So, none of us really believe that this is about money and Ryan Tubridy, because this has been going on for years. The fact then, of course, that the journalists, so-called journalists, all came out with their grievances that they wanted extra money. I mean, these people, these criminals, are covering up genocide, and they have the cheek to come out here and talk about money while there's children still being vaccinated in this country as we speak. So none of us are foolish. We know this is all about banking. We know this is all about, I think it's Larry Fink that said, BlackRock, if the people won't do what they're told, they're going to have to be forced into a new way of thinking. So look at, please guys, okay, let's watch the show. We can watch the pantomime in the same way we'd go to the Gaiety or anything else, the RTE pantomime, but let's remember, it wasn't just RTE involved in this. Virgin Media were also involved in this. All the local journalists from your own towns, your own counties, your own newspapers, all involved in this. Guys, we know it's a big club and you ain't in it. But what consequences are this for the people? We have to remember, for us, this is old news. We're 3 years at this now. Look, the people speak every week here. Whilst this is, of course, people are going to be enraged about the money, but how are they going to feel when they really find out what this is about? And I suppose we're going to have to work with people. We're going to have to forgive them, maybe, even though we don't feel like it at the moment. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a massive shock for the Irish public to discover what has actually been going on in this place, this den of iniquity. And still the report is, these are degenerates. We would have nothing in common with them, and the majority of Irish people would have absolutely nothing in common with these people. They are absolute degenerates, pushing our children to have life-changing operations that they will be sorry for later on, pushing a plantation to get rid of Irish Indigenous people and replace them with who and with what. They are pushing so many agendas here that it feels a little bit like the Berlin Wall coming down, I have to say. We are very privileged, really and truly, and thanks to Robert for the opportunity as always. We're very privileged to be here, because truly I believe this is the beginning of the end for RTE. But again, as I say, don't be deflected. Don't be dejected either. They will cover this up in so many ways. What sort of money? Claire Byrne, of course, another one of the degenerates, pushing the vaccination on other children. That's a mother. At the end of the day, that's a mother, and she was pushing a vaccination, not a vaccination, a trial gene therapy. You tell me what kind of people they are. Ryan Tubridy, I mean, the last degeneracy was when Ryan Tubridy had a child on the Late Late Show, and this child was doing the COVID test on her teddy bear, and then she was doing the Pfizer vaccine on her teddy bear. At that stage, this whole country should have been up in arms. But of course, we looked at it and we accepted it, and we just kept on going. So look, for now, this is Edel here, just at the outside broadcasting. And again, all the people that show up here are just, you know, I'm in wonderment and in awe of them, because they will not give up, and they will never give up until everything in this country is uncovered and unfolded. So look, from RTE, we answered the call. We came out to see what all this amnesia was about. I hope it doesn't catch, Robert. I hope we're able to clear think all the way. And we, as I say, we answered the call, and we're answering Ireland's call, and the call out is to wake up ERA, and thank you to everybody that endeavours every week to do so. So look, from RTE, every expense is spared here. Like I said, we don't need a big load of money like them to go off on junkets. All we need is our bus fare here and maybe an umbrella. So listen, God bless you all, and keep away from the degenerates at RTE.
How you doing, guys? We're living through the sideshow. D-Forbes, Ryan Tubridy are getting away from the definite democide, possibly genocide, the way the death rates are going. So this is all a sideshow. They're looking for an excuse to fire themselves. I can't believe they got their own staff to come out and protest against them. So the empire of lies is getting revealed to us, guys. They can't keep the lie bucket, the lie lid on anymore on the bucket. Absolutely horrific news is about to come into the public domain about COVID, about the vaccine. They can't cover it up anymore. Death rates are through the roof. There's only one thing that's causing it. Leo Varadkar has hinted that it may be the lockdowns, so he's actually made it democide. But I know 100 vaccine injured people. I know 12 people who told me they've lost a loved one. So that's what Ryan Tubridy is running from. So just buckle up, it's all going to get revealed. The politicians are scrambling to cover their arses. They're trying to bring in laws so people like us can't speak the truth. All as we've done for the last 14 months is to go into the public with Pfizer's own data. That's all we've done. We're not conspiracy theorists. This information is from Pfizer themselves. They knew 26 months ago that people were dying in this vaccine trial. They covered it up. They told everyone it was safe and effective. That was a lie. That lie is about to be untold. Ryan Tubridy is doing his best to distance himself from that lie. How you doing? Great support here from the public. Everybody knows these people in here lie for a living. They just tell lies. Every single thing on RTE is a lie. All of it. They're lying about the immigration. They're lying about the vaccine. They lied about COVID. They're lying about what they're teaching our children in school. They're lying about the fact that there is a new world order trying to be installed in the world, and they won't tell anybody about it. So what we're going to witness in the next couple of weeks is all of them jumping ship. We have a banner up there, can't really see it, but it says the rats are jumping ship, and that's exactly what's going on. These rats are jumping ship. So just buckle up, everybody. It's going to get really tasty around here for all the people who are opposing. They are going to round a few of us up. They're going to see what the public reaction is going to be when they do that. So I just say to everyone out there, when they start pulling us off the street for just speaking the truth and for standing in our own power, we have all got to come to defend the people that get taken in. They've no way out of this now except to bring in the real tyranny. These people are all waking up. I noticed it the last few weeks that we went out. 1 in 2 people are now taking information off us about Pfizer's data. It was 1 in 5 a few months ago. It was 1 in 10 6 months ago. So the public are now ready to be told the truth. It's up to us to keep the foot down and to be brave and to bring the message. Even though it's not a nice message, we have to bring it to them. This is not going to get stopped unless the people that are being vaccinated stand up. There's simply not enough of us that are being active to stop this. There's not enough of us, so we have got to wake these people up. So peace and love, guys. I am going to talk a little bit over here about what I think is going on in there in a little bit more detail, but thanks very much.
So what do I think of RTE? I'm not really too interested in the recent scandals with Ryan Tubridy or D Forbes. I think it's all another scam. We have to remember that RTE manufactures the news. It's up to RTE what news comes out. So if RTE wants a financial scandal to come out, then a financial scandal will come out. They're not doing it on their own. They're doing it in conjunction with the government and all of our politicians. So for me, it's just it's another red herring of what we should be really talking about. One of those things is the World Health Organization treaty, which means that if there's another scamdemic in Ireland in the future, the World Health Organization will have control over that. That's just one of the many issues that we have to deal with. Every week there's a new issue. So have a look at WakeUpéiRe.com and sovereignpeople.ie, two organisations of ordinary people who are standing up to what's happening in Ireland at the moment. We all need your support. So well done to WakeUpéiRe.com for organising this rally outside RTE to stand up to absolutely vile people. There's no justice in RTE. I think RTE has to be shut down. Thanks very much. Thank you.
We're here because now we know RTE are liars. You know, they have stuck their fingers up at the people of Ireland. They have shown nothing but contempt for us for the last 3 years. They've lied through their teeth. This is just the tip of the iceberg. RTE need to go. RTE is the virus. None of this would have happened without them in there. So that's all I want to say.
I think that the RTE have been lying to us for the last 2.5 years in relation to COVID. The chickens are now coming home to roost because we're beginning to find out the consequences of mass vaccination, and they've been well paid, and they haven't properly explored all the issues relating to COVID or the vaccinations. So hopefully, with the recent revelations in with regard to their payments, perhaps they will think again and consider that perhaps they should be more honest with the people.
I'm going to be very honest here. My father worked for RTE. You know, it put a roof over my head, you know, food in our belly, whatever, but I am absolutely sick up to here with what, especially over the last 3 years, pushing like this fella here, and Ryan Tubridy, you name it, any of them working in there. I felt Joe O'Shea bringing people out like that, telling us that they wanted to demonise us for not getting a vaccination. They wanted to discriminate against us, called us anti-vax, which is an untruth. And then now they're calling us far right, and they're the ones that started all this discrimination. But what riles me is they stood over there at that RTE sign on Tuesday, I think, all members of the National Union of Journalists. I'm going to say from the bottom of my heart, there isn't one single journalist in there. An investigative journalist, if there was one in there, they would be coming out and asking us a few questions about why we're here. But they're not going to come out and ask us. They don't want anybody to know that we're here. So it's just been too one-sided, especially when, you know, they said trust the science. Science to me is all about debate. You know, everything has to be spoken about and questioned, but we weren't allowed to ask questions. So for 3 years they've been lying to the public of Ireland. And they stood out there the other day on Tuesday. I don't know the girl's name, but she said, we want you to trust us and we want transparency. like, they're only talking about Ryan Tubridy's wages, and I don't think it was Renault that gave him the money. I think it was probably Pfizer, you know, but they wouldn't tell you the truth if they could. So we're down here to call them out for the liars that they are. I just, that's it, you know.
You want me to tell you what I think about RTE? I think they're a lot of scumbags, murderers, right? And they need to be brought to task for everything that they do to this country. There's fellas that had nothing that got locked up for not having a TV licence, alright? Oh, but those scumbags in there and the judicial system, the whole lot. Legacy media is dead in this country. These are all done and dusted, right? These are done, and I hope every one of you is held for account, because you've had the blood of countless on your hands, absolutely countless. And I tell you one thing now, I would rather starve to death than take money to sell out my own countrymen and women. These are absolute filth, every one of you, demons.
What I think about RTE, not much, to be honest. I think it's disgraceful what's coming out about him now, and especially Ryan Tubridy and that.
I think what's going on with RTE now is about time that something radical like that happened, and it exposes them now, and they're being on the television, and they're trying to show how honest they are, but they're still proving that they didn't speak up in time, and the ones who are crying in there now are the ones that were involved in telling us all the lies anyway.
I think RTE is terrible. Like, it's a propaganda station for the government. It needs to be closed down, you know. It needs, or else it needs being stopped funded by the state, by the taxpayer. And they've done so much damage during the lockdowns. Instead of questioning what was going on, they supported the government 100%. And God knows how many people are after being injured and killed by these vaccines because RTE wouldn't speak out.
Well, I think Ryan Tubridy is guilty of taking extra payments for saying vaccines are safe and effective, and the masks and sanitizer and God knows what else. So it was basically a payoff, I think, for plugging the whole lockdown and the world economic agenda worldwide to make big profits for Big Pharma. And the radio and television are plugging Big Pharma all the time, you know, for this, that and the other in the ads.
Okay, they're just plain and simple outright lying to the people. We've known all along. It's just for the people to be able to see that now and wake up to what's going on. Like, they're bought and paid for to do what they do. They're funded by Big Pharma. And I suggest that people do their own research. We've been telling them all along, and they seem to think it's a little bit way out there, but it's in actual fact, it's all fact. So we're at WakeUpéiRe on Telegram, and we also have we're at WakeUpéiRe.com. If people want information, just to go there.
Well, I think they're liars. I think they've deceived everybody. I was one of the foolish people. I think 90% of the Irish people fell for all the lies. I feel that it was one-sided, that they were literally saying whatever the government told them. So it's like as if there was no journalists making up stories, but they weren't doing any stories. They were just literally reporting what they were told. It was all biased. It was all one-sided. I've been to several demonstrations, all peaceful, and then when I go home, I go up with my parents. They love RTE. They're literally, my dad watches 6 o'clock news every night, and then I'd be seeing what they're reporting, which is not what actually happened. So I'm sort of going, that's not what happened. I was there. Particularly, we were here, and some gentlemen got. This white car went past and almost run them over, and they were literally on the bonds, and the car never stopped, and the guards just stood there and did nothing. So the guards are being complacent as well as RTE, as well as the government. So it's all like, so it's like as if the government are being told by the globalists to cause chaos, and then when they cause, like, this is chaos, they're to come in with like the solution, where we like or not, we're going to have to agree. Although we're fighting back, so I'm not going to agree, and no. But I've been brought up on RTE, and I believed everything that they said, and I thought it was very, I'm ashamed of them.
I'm very disappointed. I'm disgusted because I mean, I know my mum loves Gay Byrne and Ryan Tubridy, and I don't know actually how she feels right now, but I know I'm ashamed of him, ashamed. And then what stuck out for me, all the reporting, particularly the Late Late Toy Show, they used it as a propaganda tool to promote the vaccines and had small innocent children like, you know, given injections, and then the little one kind of almost hit the thing, go do what you're told. And I'm sort of going, that's how brainwashed they're after making us. And I'm just going, that's shameful.
Who's this?
This is Toby Tubridy, and he's here in the vet centre today to be tested for coronavirus.
Okay, so Tony Tubridy is being tested. Was he reporting any symptoms?
No.
No, he's just a hypochondriac. Okay, so what are you going to do with Tony Tubridy for the test? Okay.
Now we need to get him a Pfizer vaccine.
Gosh, you don't waste time, do you, Saoirse? You're ahead of the game. So does he like...
He's not participating, so we're going to have to knock him out.
Okay. Poor Tony's having a rough day at the clinic. Okay, so you've knocked him out.
Now we need to just check if he's still with us.
Okay, that's a good...
Yep, he's still with us.
He's still with us. Okay, this is great. This is the story of survival, isn't it? So what happens
now
next?
Now he gets the Pfizer vaccine.
Bang. Okay.
I mean, I fell for the lies. I got jabbed twice, and because I thought I was doing the right thing, I was protecting my mum and dad. My son told me I wasn't really allowed to be an anti-vaxxer, even though I never heard of that saying until he said it, and I was going, what is that? I mean, I didn't know. All I knew was that we had to get the vaccine to protect everybody. That's what I was told, and now I'm being told, oh no, it doesn't stop transmission, and they lied, and they haven't done all. We're the test subjects. I didn't even know. When I went in for my vaccination, I was never given any information on side effects, or that it wasn't tested, or it was a medical trial. They didn't give me any proper information, and from it I got a cancer tumour removed off my face. So that's what I got. Now I actually feel lucky because that's all I got. There's so many other people, they've lost their children. You can see, I put them on the clotheslines and I organised them from the youngest to the oldest. And as I did it, I said a little prayer because they're real people, they're children. I have my son, if anything happened to my son, I would be heartbroken. And all these families are after losing their beautiful innocent children because they thought they were doing the right thing as well. And it's just, I can't find the words to describe how horrible it is and how hurt I am. And it was very emotional, like I said. And I think when people see real children and they actually realise that these have all died, that this is not made up, and they're only a small, minute number, and all these people dropping dead, I mean, nobody's questioning it. I don't understand. People are numb. And I actually feel that the vaccination has something to do with that, because I feel myself, I'm numb to a lot of stuff, and I feel from getting the vaccination that it has something to do with that. Well, that's just my theory, and it's just that's how I feel.
RTE. Well, it needs to be abolished, and that's being kind. You know, people have suggested storming the building. That would probably be against the law. They have been lying through their teeth to the Irish people for years about everything. You know, it's starting to, and for years now, it's reminded me of, you know, the way you watch North Korean TV and there's this lady in the opening credits. It's a bit like that. It's just bizarre regime propaganda, lying through their teeth about everything from COVID to the war in Ukraine. You know, and actively global warming, not just leaving stuff out selectively, but actively lying, you know, actively force-feeding the most glaring, obvious untruths onto the population. And a problem is that a lot of people trust them, not so much now. The last couple of weeks seem to have made a huge difference. You're starting to see what we call normies question RTE. But there's been a massive problem with, I mean all the stuff that was done to this nation over the last few years couldn't have succeeded without RTE. the lockdown could not have happened if it hadn't have been for RTE pumping out the most flagrant lies morning, noon and night on radio and television, scaring gullible old people senseless, trying to convince them that this rebranded flu with a mortality rate of 0.02% less was a massive threat to life and was something that justified the shutting down completely of society as we'd always known it. You're now starting to see all the damage that was done by lockdowns, which we warned off at the time. Of course we were correct at the time, and of course we were censored at the time, and of course, you know, time has proven us correct. RTE haven't even begun to wrestle with that. They haven't even started to admit it. You're beginning to see other legacy media outlets, you know, in the BBC and newspapers in the UK are starting to go there. They're starting to get to grips with it. They're starting to accept that a great evil took place, that a great crime took place, and that it needs restitution, and that it needs an honest accounting. And that's inevitable. You can't hide the truth forever. But certainly RTE doesn't seem to have any intention at all of covering it honestly, and they won't. But they're on life support. They're at death's door. RTE will not exist as you know it in 2 or 3 years' time. You know, their funding has dried up. Nobody trusts them anymore. So it's a matter of time. They're finished. And it's great to see, because they richly deserve to be consigned to history as soon as possible, so that we can start building a proper media in Ireland and give the public what they deserve, which is a thriving free media with presenters who tell them the truth. You know, that might be quite nice after what we've had the last 10-15 years. You know, there's something very novel and unusual about that, I think, the idea of media telling people the truth. And you can see why all sorts of vested interests are terrified of that and determined to stop it happening, but they won't be able to. We will create a proper media in Ireland, and we will create a proper republic out of the ashes of what was done to this place. You know, it won't be done overnight, but it will happen. I have full confidence in that.
What do you think about RTE?
I think they're terrible. They don't tell anyone anything. You know, they don't tell them what they want, what they need to hear. They just tell them lies and try and distract them from things. You know, it's terrible, and it's been like that for years. Well before COVID, it's been like that. You know, so it's just got worse. You know, so I think that place should be turned into a memorial for vaccine injuries. You know.
What do you think about RTE?
Well, I never thought much about them in the first place, so I think even less about them now. Yeah. I don't watch RTE at all.
They're responsible for an awful lot of injuries, and they have not spoken about that data that was released under court order. So I'm calling out to everybody in RTE, look at the data and inform people, and stop injecting pregnant women with this toxic poison.